Hello, I want to help you learn how to learn basic rudimentary Japanese, almost to the point where you can have a conversation with the child pretty well and ask directions, get around, be able to say basic things. And I'm going to put links to all of this below. The first thing is don't listen to the hype and try and learn Genki. You're going to need, see these little squiggles here? You're going to need to know those. There's 26 of them, and they're right here. Whoops, here. And these are just derivations of the same thing, where you put one of these with one of these, and it makes it slightly different sounds. So there's 26 sounds, and like ta, if you put it on a derivation, you put these little squiggles next to it, and it becomes da. Ta, da. Looks exactly the same except for like little quotation marks next to it. So you need to learn how to read and write hiragana. And if you do that, you can read the entire basis of the Japanese language. And you can do it in 2 days. Hiragana also has an analog for foreign words. It's pretty much the same squiggles in most cases. And then you can read all of that. You're ready to read. There's the Chinese characters that they borrow. I'll come back to that. But a lot of people promise you things like, speak Japanese in 6 months. It's just crazy. Chris Broad from Abroad in Japan did one of these videos knowing that it was an impossible task, but he did make a really good argument about being able to learn about 10 words a day, and in 6 months you'd learn enough, because in the Japanese language proficiency test, the JLPT, there's 5 layers, and the first 5 layers is like the easiest one, the N5, and it only requires like 300 of the Chinese squiggles. You need to know all the hiragana, like these little squiggles here. You need to know all of those, and you can pick them up in 2 days. And you can get online and talk with Japanese tutors for fairly inexpensive, almost nothing. True to all that, but it's not realistic. I'm talking about getting around and saying most everything you want by playing with the words a little bit. For hiragana, the best way to learn it is because each one of those little squiggles, the 26 squiggles, relates to a sound. So have you noticed that, like, if you say something in Chinese, like you get like these inflections, ma, 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 ma. And there's like kind of a harsh accent with it compared to Japanese, which is a, I, u, e, o. Like the word for bird in Japanese is tori, and a dog is an inu. But try that in other languages in that area of the world. It does not sound so easy to say. So I'm going to link 2 songs. One is done by a British expat girl on a ukulele. And the other one is like a kid's cartoon where they sing the sounds. A, I, U, E, O, Kaki, Kuke, Ko. And if you learn the song, you'll learn hiragana. You just need to be able to learn the song. And then you can practice writing it. Just write it every day. It takes about 10 minutes. And you'll see where you make mistakes and learn. The next part is the Japan Society of New York. I'm from New York, and like if they teach you in 24 lessons from the point of absolute beginning to being able to say things like, please close the door because it's really cold outside, right? You're going to be able to say all that. The hard part about Japanese is learning how to count things. Yes, they have ichi, like 1 through 10, but they have these weird counters for all these different things. They have counters for like small animals, like ipigi, nihiki, san bigi, or something like that. I forget on the top of my head. But also for long cylindrical things, ippon, nihon, and then for different floors, ikkai, nikkai, sangai. But they'll teach you all that, and they'll also teach you that, like, Japanese have different words for each day of the month, and most of them are pretty easy. But if you take the the Japan Society video lessons, you'll be able to speak rudimentary Japanese. Now, they teach you the formal side, and I'll come out with a video on the informal versions of that, because that's what everybody uses in every day. But everybody will understand you and respect you. It's just that if you're using it with friends, they'll think it's like really hoity-toity. Let me see here. Oh, each one of those lessons, on the Japan Society website, and I'll link to it, is about 5 minutes. So if you do 2 a day, that's 8 weeks. And you can say things like, how do I go to the pharmacy, and turn right over there, or how much does this cost, and that kind of stuff. Basic everyday rudimentary things that you need to get around. And it's totally doable in 3 months. It's not like these promises that people put out there with insane schedules. I'm talking about 10 minutes of a Japan Society Today, learning hiragana and its analog katakana. It will take you 2 days. And you'll learn all of the subtle things like the counting and all that. And the good news is they don't have a future tense. I speak French, and they have a different way of saying, like, is for the future, and it's different, and it operates different. In Japan, there is no. So there's this funny Japanese in 5. You should look at that one too. Japanese from 0, it's 5 minutes, or Japanese from 5. Same guy, George, and he explains basic rudimentary stuff, like say a guy's name is Tanaka, right? And the word for is des, right? And inu is dog, or sakana is a fish. So you can say, Tanaka-san wa, that means we're talking about, wa is means we're talking about Tanaka-san. Tanaka-san wa inu des. And that's another thing they never teach you, is that the verb goes at the end. It's a different kind of system. But if you always put the verb at the end, you're good. And so that means, so Tanaka sakana des. That means Tanaka is a fish. Or Tanaka-san des. You want to put san at the end of every name because it's considered polite. So you say Tanaka-san des. That means Tanaka is. It means I am Tanaka. It means you're Tanaka. It means they are Tanaka. It means all of that. And so des, D-E-S, in Japanese they put desu, but it's pronounced des. So Tanaka des. And if you want to make it a question, you say Tanaka desu ka. And if you want to make it he was Tanaka, you take the des and you turn it into deshita. And then then that means Tanaka-san deshita is past form of Tanaka-san des, which is versus was. So it's really simple stuff. It's easy to learn rudimentary Japanese. It gets harder later on, but if you want to learn basic Japanese in 3 months, follow me on this one. Also, there's an app out there called Huma Japanese, and they do a beautiful job of explaining everything. And you have to take these short little 4-question quizzes at the end of each one to pass on to the new one. But they do a brilliant job between learning the hiragana, learning the songs, and I recommend songs. Look up the old 1960s Kitaro. It's kind of like a spooky Halloweeny kind of cartoon from the 60s, and the song is really fun, and you learn basic stuff. The word for fun is tanoshi. Isn't that easy to say? Tanoshi. So I recommend learning some songs. Don't learn like a One Piece song because it has way too many different kind of things. Like, do you really need to know the word for a compass? Um, you know how you say map in Japanese? Chizu. Isn't that crazy? Um, and so anyway, now then there's the kanji, which is the way they call what they call the Chinese characters that they derived all of their writing system from, because the Japanese used to have a real hard-on for China, and who didn't? Because at the time they were civilization, and the Japanese, quick learners, they picked it all up. The problem is they picked it up like 1,000 years ago, so they're using the old-fashioned spelling and the old-fashioned meaning, and then they also changed it to make sounds. So you never know what you're gonna get with these Chinese characters, making it very confusing, and they mean different things. You could say them different ways, and there's approaches to that, which I'll get to in the full-length video. Recently, I took a Japanese test, and did I pass? Find out.